Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Morning Breath live stream, where we start our day with coherence. I'm your host, Jeremy Tennell. This is week 3, day 12 of our 14-week journey, the path to personal transformation. Yesterday, we talked about boundaries and how the boundaries clarify accountability and agency. Today, we explore the next step in personal ownership, responsibility, our ability to choose our response. Many people think responsibility means being blamed for something, or they see responsibility solely in terms of the obligations that we take on as members of society, or a job, or family. But the root of responsibility means something much simpler and yet much more profound. Responsibility is literally our ability to choose our response. It is our response ability. In difficult moments, our first instinct is often drawn from reaction. That's true for all of us. Frustration, irritation, judgment, or defensiveness. Reaction's automatic. It is the immediate response to a stimulus with no pause. To have full ownership of our capacities, of our agency, of our abilities, we need to learn to choose a response through awareness and pause. Stephen Covey tells this story in his book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, that I've always found to be very powerful, and I've never forgotten it. My father gave me the book when I was 13 on tape, and I remember listening to it until that tape wore out. It's about a morning train ride. The train is quiet. The people were reading their newspapers and sitting silently. Some were looking out windows. Some were just listening to their music. The train comes to its next stop, and a man boards with several children, loud and boisterous in tow. The children are yelling and running up and down the train car immediately. They were jumping over the empty seats, grabbing at newspapers. The mood of the train had gone from tranquil to tense. One child was spitting on the glass doors as they closed. Another grabbed the cane of an old woman and ran away with it. And yet another grabbed the cords of a woman's headphones and yanked them from her ears as she ran away laughing. As the children taunted and disturbed the peace of everyone in the car, the man just sat there. Now I want you to pause for just a moment, and I want you to take a personal inventory of how this story is making you feel right now. Do you have it? Let's continue. As the train moved along the rail, many began to become quite irritated. They began to whisper to each other, give each other looks. Why wasn't this man doing anything about his children? Why was he just sitting there, staring? Eventually, one person leaned towards the father and said, "Sir, your children are disturbing a lot of people. Could you please intervene?" The man looked up slowly and he said, "Yes, you're right. I probably should do something. We just came from the hospital. Their mother just died about an hour ago. I'm not sure what to do, and I guess they don't know what to do." Now let's retake that personal inventory. Where did your emotions go? That is reaction. Your emotions will shift on their own. How you choose to respond is up to you. The situation did not change. The children were still loud. The train was still chaotic, but your perception of the events changes. This person's reaction to leaning over and inquiring changed because their understanding of the events changed. That moment illustrates something very powerful for us. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space lies our freedom to choose, to have ownership. Human beings are interpretive systems that are living inside and embedded within interpretive systems. Our minds constantly interpret what is happening around us. Those interpretations generate emotional responses, which create perspectives that turn to behavior. The system that we are looks something like this: event, interpretation, emotion, perspective, behavior. Many might believe that the events cause the reaction. That's not an uncommon belief. But in reality, it is our interpretations that drive the response. When we become aware of the process, something important happens. We reclaim agency within that system. Instead of reacting automatically, we can pause and ask, inquire, what might be missing? What else could be true here? What response would align with the person I want to be? Responsibility lives inside pause. Ownership is not controlling every situation. Ownership is choosing how we show up within those situations. We cannot take control of every stimulus in our lives, but we can learn to influence our response. And when we do that, the spirals of our lives widen. Let's take a few minutes later today to do some reflection. I want you to think about a recent moment in your life, and I want you to take your journals and I want you to write down what happened. What interpretation did you make in that moment? And what response might have been possible had you paused? And then ask yourself, what kind of response would reflect the person I'm trying to become? And then take it deeper. What questions could I have asked that would have widened my spiral of perspective? Before we move into the breath practice, take a moment to notice how often reactions. What's that inventory tell? Now let's take a moment to cultivate a little bit of coherence between the intelligence centers of our brain and the intelligence centers. I'm going to be using an inner balance device again today. So let's hook that up. And we're going to go for 5 minutes, a little bit under the weather today. Okay, got our timer, got our inner balance. I'm going to hook this up to my ear where it observes, monitors my heart rate. And in that monitoring, it records the heart rate variability, which is the space in between beats. And within that space, that pause, is a massive amount of information. That information demonstrates to the algorithm that this device uses if I am in coherence between my head and my heart. Let's place our hands over our heart because we're targeting this area, and we're going to, as we practice, create an inventory of positive emotions. And the way we do that is we create a list of gratitude within our minds. As you go throughout your day, turn to your breath when you need to become coherent. Bring your awareness to it. Utilize it to create the pause between stimulus and response. Thank you for joining me today. See you all tomorrow morning at 5:30 a.m.